Chapter 6, Life for a Life. Scene, abandoned chemical plant. Countdown to detonation. 10 minutes. Damian King burst into the warehouse, his sharp gaze immediately locking onto Lena. Iron chains suspended her precariously over a vat of corrosive acid. Blood stained her clothes, and a faint swell in her abdomen was unmistakable. "Let her down," he bellowed, aiming his gun squarely at Sophia Summers. The veins on the back of his hand bulged as his finger tightened on the trigger. Sophia's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Make your choice," she taunted. "Shoot me, and the detonation sequence activates instantly. Or," she tossed a gleaming blade toward him, "cut off your right hand, and I'll let her go." Lena shook her head frantically, her voice hoarse. "Don't do it. She's rigged the place with explosives." Before she could finish, Damian's resolve hardened. Without hesitation, he seized the blade and swung down, blood sprayed in an arc, painting the floor crimson. Sophia's eyes widened in disbelief as Damian's severed hand hit the ground. "Now," he commanded through gritted teeth, his face ashen, "let her go." For a moment, Sophia stood stunned, but then madness overtook her features. She erupted into maniacal laughter. "You really love her? How pathetic. Too bad it's too late," she screeched, slamming her hand onto a remote control. The chains holding Lena snapped, sending her plummeting toward the acid below. Chapter 7. A Crimson Wedding. Scene, intensive care unit. The shrill beep of a heart monitor cutting through the heavy silence. Damian King's body lay battered on the hospital bed, his back riddled with shrapnel wounds. The white sheets beneath him were stained red despite the bandages hastily wrapped around his torso. His breathing was shallow, chest rising and falling at an uneven rhythm. Machines hummed around him, tubes and wires snaking across his body like prison chains. Lena Carter stood by his side, her trembling fingers gripping his ice-cold hand. The metallic tang of antiseptic lingered in the air. A doctor in a stark white coat approached, his expression grave. He handed her a clipboard. "Ms. Carter, his condition is critical," the doctor said solemnly. "Mr. King's right arm nerve is severely damaged, likely beyond repair. Even if he regains consciousness, there's a significant chance he may never walk or regain full mobility." Lena's knees buckled, but she forced herself to stay upright. Her gaze drifted to Damian's pallid face, every line of it etched with agony. The man who had always stood indomitable before the world now lay at the mercy of fate. Her heart clenched painfully. She had survived because he had shielded her, taking every shard of metal meant for her body. "You said you'd never let me go," Lena whispered, her voice breaking. Not even in death. Her trembling hands reached into her pocket, pulling out a simple gold band, the wedding ring that had once symbolized nothing more than a facade. Now it was her vow, forged in blood and redemption. With infinite tenderness, she slid the ring onto his finger. "I'm binding myself to you," she promised softly, tears slipping down her face. "So if you go, I'm going with you." The room was heavy with silence, broken only by the rhythmic beeping of the monitor. Then, a faint twitch. Lena's eyes widened. His fingertips moved, weak but undeniable. Hope bloomed in her chest, fierce and unyielding. 3 months later, sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows of the chapel, painting the pews in hues of crimson and gold. The scent of fresh roses filled the air, mingling with the faint whispers of the gathered guests. At the entrance, Damian King sat in a sleek black wheelchair. His left sleeve hung empty, a silent testament to his sacrifice, while a cast encased his injured right leg. Despite his injuries, his expression was one of steely determination. "I'm walking," he declared stubbornly to the aide beside him. "Mr. King, your leg," I said. "I'm walking." Ignoring the protest, Damian pushed himself upright, gripping the side of the wheelchair for balance. Pain lanced through his body, but he gritted his teeth, refusing to falter. Every step was agonizing, but he pressed on, leaning heavily on his crutch as he made his way down the crimson-carpeted aisle. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but Damien's focus never wavered. At the end of the aisle stood Laena, radiant in a flowing white gown. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she watched him, each faltering step carving itself into her heart. Damien finally reached her, his breath ragged but triumphant. He dropped the crutch, and, with visible effort, lowered himself onto one knee before her. Looking up into her tear-streaked face, he spoke with a raw, unyielding voice. "I'm betting my life on you, Laena. Forever. Do you dare take that gamble?" Tears streamed down Laena's face as she knelt beside him, cupping his face between her hands. "I already lost that bet a long time ago," she whispered through sobs. Their lips met in a kiss filled with love, pain, and promises unspoken yet understood. The chapel erupted into applause, but for them, the world had narrowed to just the two of them, a bond forged in fire, sealed with blood, and bound by an unbreakable vow. Chapter 8. Final chapter. Times bound by love. Scene, a seaside villa, 10 years later. The ocean breeze carries the scent of salt and freedom. The tranquil melody of waves crashing against the shore filled the air, mingling with the joyful shouts of children. Golden sunlight streamed through the villa's wide windows, casting warm patterns across the polished hardwood floors. "Daddy." "She took my transformer again." 5-year-old Leo King sprinted into the room, his face flushed with indignation. His tousled hair flopped into his eyes as he clung to Damien's leg. Damien King, ever composed despite the chaos, effortlessly scooped up his son with one strong arm. His right sleeve, now filled with a sleek, advanced prosthetic, moved with practiced ease. All right, Damien said, his voice calm but commanding. "What did I tell you about fighting with your sister?" "But she started it." Leo pouted dramatically. Before Damien could respond, a mischievous giggle echoed from the hallway. 8-year-old Sunny King peeked around the corner, her big brown eyes filled with playful defiance. "Daddy, I didn't steal it. I was just borrowing it for my Barbie's car engine," she declared, her logic completely sincere. Damien fought the urge to laugh. He set Leo down and poured a measured scoop of formula into a bottle. "Sunny," he warned with a mock-serious tone, "if you mess with your brother's toys one more time, it's the baby room for you tonight." Sunny gasped dramatically. "You wouldn't?" "Try me." From the doorway, Laena Carter watched the scene unfold with a gentle smile. Her heart swelled at the sight of Damien effortlessly managing their children, the man who had once been a cold, untouchable king now warm and filled with love. The sunlight highlighted the scar that ran across his shoulder, a permanent mark left from the night he had risked everything to save her. It gleamed faintly, like a badge of honor. Later that night, after the children had been tucked into bed, silence settled over the villa. The moon cast its silver glow through the bedroom windows. Damien stirred restlessly in his sleep, his brow furrowing as shadows of the past crept into his dreams. His breathing grew ragged, and suddenly he jerked awake, gasping. Laena, already alert, reached for him. "It's all right," she whispered soothingly, wrapping her arms around him. His body trembled as he clung to her, his voice hoarse with desperation. "Don't ever leave me again," he murmured, the lingering echoes of nightmares tightening his grip. Laena pressed a kiss to the corner of his eye, where a single tear clung. "Damien," she said softly, "you carved Laena Carter, wife of Damien King, on my gravestone. Do you really think I have anywhere left to run?" He let out a breathless laugh, his tension easing under her touch. "You're stuck with me then." "For life," she promised, brushing her lips against his. Outside, the waves continued their endless dance under the moonlight, a testament to the eternal bond between land and sea, just as Laena and Damien's love had weathered every storm, stronger and unbreakable.